Hello everyone, welcome to yet another day in this the clown decade, the decade where things are only going to get worse before they get better. And luckily on this Monday I have a small white pill for you. It's white pilling in the fact that it's very, very funny, and also is a clear example of the leftist narrative crumbling before our eyes, which I think is something we need to take notice of. Over the past few months, mass migration is good for the economy has taken an absolute beating. Brexit is the sole reason we're poor has been taking a beating due to Germany's performance recently. And now the London is actually a great place to live with barely any crime has taken a complete beating. So last Thursday, Matthew Stadlen, who is an ex-LBC and BBC presenter, who these days runs yet another lefty political podcast, said this on Twitter. I had my phone snatched out of my hand from behind by a man on a motorbike this afternoon. I had the dogs on the lead in one hand and was typing stuff with the phone on the other while stood at the edge of the pavement. If you need me, please send a DM or email. So yes, he was the victim of a moped robbery. But what makes this so funny is that Matthew Stadlen is one of those London apologists that pretends that because he lives in leafy suburbs of London and doesn't go to the more rough areas of London, it is actually a very safe place to live. And this thread from 2021 really shows what we mean. So after making a positivity tweet about smiling, fine, whatever, a Twitter anon says to him that if you smile in London, people are going to think that you're going to mug them, to which Matthew says that's not true. So this Twitter anon says, go to London, I guarantee you'll either get mugged or not appreciated. And so Matthew makes the audacious comment of, I live in London, I've never been mugged, and I never will be. I am very much appreciated. To which I would say, well, I've lived in South Manchester most of my life, and I've never been mugged either. I don't think that I would go as far as to say that I have never been mugged, because I know a lot of people that have been mugged, because I know people that lived in all sorts of places in Manchester, given I went to a school in central Manchester, so obviously I'm going to know people from all around, and plenty of them got mugged when in Manchester. So this either says that Matthew literally knows nobody from the lower classes of London or who live in the rougher parts of London, or is in total denial about it. I mean, to be honest with you, it is both, but obviously now that he has been mugged, maybe he'll change his tune on it. And the Twitter anons were feeling quite smug about pointing this tweet out. Never say never, says one, and Matthew Stadlen has the biggest brain reply I think I've ever seen. More of a robbery than a mugging. The guy was on a motorbike, came from behind and nicked it out of my hand, but I'm annoyed with myself for not paying attention. And the thing I always find funny about things like this is that leftists think they're being very, very, very clever by being pedantic like this, when 99% of the time when you actually just look up the word that has been used that they have an issue with, they're actually just synonyms. As you can see here, the definition of mug is to attack and rob someone in a public place. And as you can see in the synonyms, rob is literally one of the synonyms. So Matthew saying this was more of a robbery than a mugging is completely meaningless. They mean the same thing. And naturally there were other Twitter anons saying that this is a result of mass migration and making assumptions about the mugger's race. So Matthew had a reply to that. Some of the comments here are really from the gutter. It happened too quickly and the robber was masked, I think, and had a crash helmet on. So he was masked. For me to notice his skin colour. Yeah, that's fine, fair enough, whatever. I couldn't give two hoots about what colour his skin was. I want him to be found and jailed, not realising that a lot of other people wanted a more preventative attitude towards these crimes. Anyway, Matthew was obviously then getting plenty of notifications of similar people questioning the man's ethnicity, and so decided to tweet this. Hello, Elon Musk. I remember you were once looking for evidence of greater hate on here since your takeover of Twitter. If you have a look at the replies in this post, you might get a snapshot. And I have no doubt that there were replies that will have been on the nasty side of things. However, most of the replies appear to be more insinuating, oh, it's all for the good of diversity that you get robbed, than anything else. It's not really anyone saying the N-word or saying explicitly hateful things about black people or any other ethnicity. It's just people saying, oh, well, you love diversity, crime has got worse, this is what you get for living in a big city. But Matthew had a reply to this, saying ironically for the racist, the thief looks as though he's white with this picture. And this was such an embarrassing tweet that even people that don't usually get in on issues of race and London were even making fun of this. Because the man is completely covered in black clothing. We have no idea what his ethnicity is. I have no idea what his ethnicity is. But for Matthew's narrative to work, in that diversity actually isn't much of a problem, this guy has to be white, otherwise, as I say, it is that narrative taking a beating. And to a lot of replies of people saying, how the hell is this guy white? Matthew's main reply is, if you look at the slit on the mask just above the eye line, apparently you can see white. So here's an enhanced view. Yeah, I have no clue what he's talking about either. The white simply looks like it's part of the helmet. It's not uncommon for crash helmets to have the company who made it logo on it or something like that, and that looks white. It might just be a stylized white line. It's very, very, very difficult to tell. It could even just be reflecting the sunlight. Point being is that from this picture alone, there is absolutely no way to tell what ethnicity this guy is. And obviously, people insinuating that it is a minority don't have proof of it, but they are simply making an assumption. However, Matthew is out and out stating that this guy is white, and we have absolutely no evidence of that. But the funniest thing I think about this is that he got this CCTV footage himself. This wasn't provided by the police. As he says, done Met Police's job for them, because they are a useless police force, and tracked down the CCTV of the actual theft. It's with them now, let's hope they catch the thief. Well, he's about to learn why people don't trust the Met Police. But anyway, here is another angle of the robbery. Again, absolutely no way to tell the mugger's ethnicity, and there is absolutely no reason that Matthew shouldn't feel comfortable having his dog in one hand, his phone in the other, and have it not be robbed. But he lives in London, and people driving mopeds and robbing people in quick snatch jobs are, relatively common. They're less common than they were in, say, 2017. They've actually dropped since the police are now actually allowed to drive into moped riders who are criminals. They're literally allowed to risk breaking their legs. Diane Abbott wasn't a fan of that policy, but because of that, because there is a genuine risk of injury there, a lot of them aren't doing these moped jobs anymore. However, obviously they're still about and still fairly prevalent, just not as much as they were. Anyway, even Elon Musk got in on the, frankly, bullying of Matthew here, simply leaving a laughing emoji on the Define Tells account that was, well, giving us the quick overview of this whole story. I've never been mugged and never will be, and then proceeds to get mugged. And as you can see, Matthew was not very happy about this, saying he's really a character, laughing at one of your customers getting robbed of their phone. Classy. When he doesn't seem to understand that the funny part of all this isn't necessarily that he got robbed, but the fact he was so confident and felt so safe in London, despite everyone saying that it is a crime-ridden hellhole of a city. He was overconfident in saying, oh, I will never be mugged. And then he got mugged. If you can't see the funny side of that, I don't think there's any helping his humour. Anyway, after a couple of days, Matthew had had enough of the racists on both sides of the Atlantic who want you to think that the theft of my mobile phone proves that London is a failed multicultural city. Well, it's not just that, it's the fact that there is an awful lot of problems with multiculturalism in London. A hell of a lot more than just your phone being robbed. It's just your phone is now a personal anecdote of yours of the potential failed multiculturalism of London. Again, we don't know what the ethnicity of the guy was. We probably never will know, because the police aren't going to bother trying to find this thief, because robbing a mobile phone, they don't investigate. They have way too many other crimes that they need to investigate, because London is a crime-ridden hellhole. So you send the CCTV to them so that they can make a police report, and then you can claim insurance. That's what they do with most of these things, because they are lazy. But if after all this you think the biggest problem is people on Twitter pointing out that statistically an awful lot of these crimes are done disproportionately by, I suppose as a euphemism we can say, diverse people, then I think all I could call you is a bit of a mentalist. Obviously the worst part of this is that you got robbed. I'd argue the worst part is that the police aren't going to take it seriously because it's not over a certain value threshold where all they're going to do is record the crime and not investigate it properly. But I don't think Matthew particularly cares about that, given that the amount of people saying, oh, well, this is what you get for living in our diverse society, which, to be fair, yes, we also had crime before we had diverse societies. However, we also managed to deal with crime better in less diverse societies. And I think that's the thing that gets missed a lot in these conversations. Due to all the quotas in the Equality Act, it actually seems to be harder to actually punish non-white people properly. A great example is the Sam Mellier case where he gets 2 years in prison for spreading racist stickers online, whereas the same judge was letting literal paedophiles go free, and the difference there happened to just be skin colour. So yes, there's a lot worse going on here, Matthew, than people on Twitter saying, isn't a diverse society woeful, when, you know, as you say, or sorry, as you should have said, because you didn't say this, we don't actually know the ethnicity of the guy. People are just making assumptions. The problem is that you are definitively saying that he is white, everyone else is making assumptions. Anyway, I just thought that this was a funny little story that I should share with all of you because, as I said, it's quite incredible the amount of cope that will go into just not accepting that London has a problem and has problems that have been growing as it has been getting more diverse. And then the main retort to that is either completely making up a mugger's ethnicity and stating it as fact, and then every other day of the week saying, oh, isn't having a curry every night great? Oh, look, a nice brown gentleman has made me my Starbucks this morning. Isn't London becoming so much more vibrant and more cultured now that there are less white people about? So forgive the 10 minutes of schadenfreude, it's just every now and then we do need to laugh at people like this. And luckily we will be laughing at The Guardian yet again this Saturday, so, you know, be about for that. And of course, Tosh is returning tomorrow and Regional Variations will be on Tailed Features channel on Wednesday. As for videos this week, you should be getting plenty. I'm actually going to be working on finishing off the Grace Blakely interview this afternoon, and then we'll see what other weird and wacky stories have come out from the week. So with that, that's everything I had for you. For now anyway, I might do another video today. In the meantime, as usual, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.